Yes.
We're going to call the Wayne Township Board of Trustees meeting to order for June 10th, 2025. Welcome, everyone. Can I have the roll call, please?
You may. Ms. Colvin?
Here.
Mr. Kaufman?
Here.
And Mr. Jacobs?
Here.
There's a quorum, sir.
Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, which would have been May 20th?
I'll make a motion to approve those May 20 minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of approving the May 20th meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion's carried.
Excellent. Do we have any additions, removals, or disclosures from the posted agenda?
We have addition of resolution 2025-45, approve the pay increase of Hannah Wolfenberger to that of a certified firefighter EMT for the Wayne Township Fire Department.
Okay, thank you, Gus. So, do we have any citizens' comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll move forward. Road Department report. Good evening, Scott.
Good evening, board. Steady as she goes. We started the second round of mowing. I'm gonna stand by the rest. I'm waiting any day. I expect to hear from the contractors to start on our road projects, because it's getting to be that time. I need to know, Miss McAway over at the funeral home contacted me about the parade. I need to know if the board, any one of the board members wishes to participate.
What's the date of the parade?
The 4th of July.
It will be the 4th.
It's Friday.
That's Friday.
Oh, they're having it on Friday.
Yeah,
All right.
Friday's on the 4th. The rain date for fireworks is on the 5th.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
the way I understood it.
You want to?
No, I can't. I'm gonna be out of town.
Oh.
I've already been driving, but I don't see the need to drive.
And I'm not, so
You're not in it?
I'm not going, no.
It's
I'm not
fun.
gonna.
It is. We
We
did
did
it
it
last
last
year. That was good.
The old 409 got pretty hot last
Oh,
year.
yeah.
So, yeah, by the time I got to the north end of town, it was pretty
I
warm.
wanted to make sure I didn't get too close to you.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm a
Got the new
yes.
tractor.
You, okay, what,
I have no idea. It could be a 1993 dually,
oh,
Thank you.
if we're lucky.
well, okay,
So I don't know, it could be, or if not, then it's a, something on.
Road grader.
Yeah.
it's the road, no, I don't never take the key out of that thing. Because anybody that climbs up into that thing's gonna look at all them handles and they're gonna say, hell no. They're gonna jump out.
Driving.
Sometimes when I climb up into it, I say that. Okay, so I'll let her know that I've got one board member that wishes to participate, and I think she sent me the form, so I'll forward that on to you.
All right, thanks.
And then let me know if your husband gets the dually back on the road again. So, but, seemed like there was something else I wanted to ask y'all, but, it is escaping my knee at the moment, so I will say that is all I
got a
have.
question to ask you. So I see that they're doing some work on the pipeline up by our road, Elmwood Road and Guard.
Mhm.
Are they doing anything under the road or anything like that at all?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so it's all gonna be in the field in the
Yeah,
back?
in the right of way, yeah.
Okay. That's what
So,
I'm asking.
as far, they're not, I've not seen any permits or anything come down through the county who would handle that, but,
Yeah.
so I'm assuming they're staying all on there
That's good.
right away. So,
Thank you.
you bet.
Very good. Moving forward, we have the fire department report. Good evening, chief.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. 52 EMS runs, 31 fire runs, total 85. Our total for the years are 351 EMS calls, 159 fire calls, and that brings us to 510 total calls for the year. Rob Plummer, who was a member for about 26 years, submitted his retirement to us. He works full-time for the city of Oakwood as a dispatcher, and they're just overtiming him to pieces, so he just doesn't have the time anymore. So we want to thank him for his 26 years and wish him the best. Sarah Ionesco, who was one of our volunteers that went to part-time, she is going to medical school at Wright State, and she chose that she would focus on her medical degree instead of working for us. So we look forward to the day when we can call her Dr. Sarah Ionesco. Both of them will be missed. I'd like to thank Mr. Camry for coming out and assisting us on a run we had in Corwin a couple weekends ago. It's very nice to be able to just call him and say, hey, I need this here or this here, and 20 minutes later it shows up, and he helps out tremendously. So thank you very much.
You're very
Appreciate
welcome.
that.
Like I always said, you need me, you call me.
I will, and I have.
And you,
Continue to do so.
hey, you betcha.
We interviewed 2 volunteer candidates last week. They are not in town candidates. They're from, one guy lives actually in my neighborhood, and another person lives in Miamisburg, but Clear Creek doesn't have volunteers, and neither does Centerville, Miamisburg, so they just want to give back. So I'm waiting on their physicals to come back, and we're going forward with that. Safer Grant has opened. That's the staffing grant that we've talked about. They have changed it. For the first 2 years, we are responsible for 25%, and in the 3rd year, we're responsible for 65% of those salaries. I think it really, we need to really have a discussion about what we're going to do with that. I think we should still apply, but I don't know, without having some discussion, if it would be prudent for us to accept it. There's a lot of things up in the air with whether we're going to keep property taxes and what the levy does. I've done some numbers projections both ways, and I think we need to sit down and have a discussion.
You want to schedule that for next Tuesday?
I would love it. That sounds perfect. Perfect.
Is there any pay for that, grant to be written?
Yes. Yes, and they've sent drafts back, so we've been going back and forth,
Okay.
like we're moving ahead. So I don't know if we get our money back at this point, but I've reached out to, I think we should still apply for it. Nothing says we have to take it, but we've already invested that money, so.
All right. Talk next week.
And that's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
I have nothing. Thank you, Chief.
No, thank you.
Moving forward, we have the zoning department report. Good evening, Stacy.
Good evening. So I have a couple of updates. This is just listed some of the permits, and next Wednesday, the BZA will meet to hear a variance case for a side yard variance. And my updates are the Warren County crew stopped by again. They had said that Sunday they would stop if they had some time to fill in, and they came in. I didn't know they were coming, and it was very nice. They washed all their interior windows, and they went outside and weeded the front of the building again, so that was yesterday.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
that was a big thank you to them for showing up and doing that. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the Country Lakes subdivision, which is going for preliminary plan this month with Warren County. I know you all got a copy of those plans and a letter saying, you can submit comments. I just want to let you know that I have already submitted it as part of the requirements before he could apply for a preliminary plan, the certification that it meets our zoning. So that's complete. So kind of as an update, what has happened with this plan is they originally wanted to just have this one entrance on Township line, but the county's subdivision requirements say that if a subdivision has over 49 lots, that you have to have 2 connections, and also you must connect to any public road that it's fronting on, which would be 73 and Township line. However, ODOT will not allow a connection to 73, and then they had to go before and ask the Warren County Engineer's Office if they could have 2 connections to Township line, and the County Engineer's Office said no, the distance wasn't enough and some other reasons, which means that this can proceed without 2 connections and without having to get a waiver from the Warren County Regional Planning Executive Committee, because those agencies have said no. So this is 51 lots, it's only 2 over that standard of having 2 required lots.
So they're not forcing them to go down to 49?
They are, no, they don't. They're allowed to,
Okay.
they don't have to seek any kind of, I'm gonna say variance waiver, so now they can proceed with their 51. So at this point, really, everything is with the county in terms of meeting the subdivision regulations. Gus has right there, it's a phasing plan. Can you go up one?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me see, there's another one that's easier to read, maybe.
I think the page you have.
Maybe next down. Should it up?
Yeah.
No, there, so I think that one's easier. So, just from the zoning perspective, we just have one lot that's kind of larger there, Gus is pointing at, so that one meets, frontage for having a over 5 acre lot. And then along the frontages of Township line and also along 73, we require buffering, so this buffering is in there to the extent that they're able to. The one on Township line, there's some areas due to topography, they may not get everything in there that we would normally have, but they still have the land there, and just an opening kind of where the pond is, so you can see the pond when you drive by, it's not blocked off. So yeah, those, I think it's 7 trees and 7 shrubs for every 100 feet, so that will be required. And there's open space, those landscape strips are part of the lot, so they will be an easement for the HOA to maintain them. They're incorporated as part of the lots rather than separate lots altogether. Because like along that frontage on 73, for instance, nobody's gonna build their house facing that way, so they're still corner lots, so that makes a good way to not have it to separate it out into separate lots. They can just use the yards there as the actual buffer zone, and that'll be maintained, like I said, by the HOA. Any questions you have? So these are no curb or gutter roads.
When are they gonna be starting? Do they have it like a September or October?
I think as soon as they can get all of their approvals, I'd like to get started, so, we'll still have to meet, the final plan requirements, which is a staff, approval. But as far as the township, our part of it's basically done, so.
So they're definitely all at least 2 acres and have the minimum road frontage?
Yes. And, this is not very dense even with our 2 acres, because I think about 15 acres are in ponds. So, we have
Can you do
like,
it with one screen that's above, Gus? Yeah, can you zoom out?
that's phase 1, 17 lots. We do have a fire department access down there in the bottom southwest corner. So ODOT was okay with that, so that'll be just a way that they can get in.
Is that gravel or is that gonna be paved?
That's just gravel. And do you have a gate or baffles that you drive over?
They haven't decided what they're gonna do yet. Probably the cheaper routes to go baffles.
Yeah.
And that's just, and the only reason we use it, there's a wreck at Township line at 73, and we have to go into into the subdivision, we could go across that. But if there is a gate there, I'll make them put a Knox box on it so we can get through it for any of our.
So that's just helpful in case, you know, the other entrance is blocked off, or if there was an accident at the intersection there, there's still another way in.
So no turn lanes there on Township Line Road or anything?
Well.
Did they talk about considering, I don't think it'd be too close to that red light down there to even have any kind of other type of, should be fine with their study that they came back with. Did they do a traffic study?
The traffic studies and things are part of this, I don't know if
Okay.
those are not
They
complete
haven't
yet.
done those yet.
Yeah, those are not, there'll be like a condition, I think, on the preliminary plan. You come back with all of that before you get your final.
And these, I remember the roads changed last year, right, Scott, where they have to put a better base down and everything, don't they?
They updated the subdivision.
Right.
So that one street there, see it in red,
Red,
that has a,
Local Street 2. That's simply, it's the same width and everything, it just has a different design standard for the depth of asphalt and so forth. And that's basically, they put those at the entrance of all the large subdivisions or subdivisions that can't expand when they go into the neighboring undeveloped properties. And that's a result of, down in Turtle Creek, they have a subdivision there, Shaker Run, that's probably about 30 years old, and they're still adding phases to it, and they're still using the original entrance, and they've had to go back and redo that entrance. So that's what, you know, this is for.
When does the roads get turned over to us, guys?
Once a section is accepted.
So like a phase
Once
one
a
is done,
phase,
we have
once a
that.
phase is accepted or is finished, then they'll make application for the township to accept public road maintenance.
Okay,
And it's very similar to the way Sandy Run worked. So we had phase one, phase two, phase three,
yeah,
you know, so as they complete a phase, you know, we go out and then myself and the county will inspect it, make a punch list, they fix all that, and then they make application for it to be turned over for public maintenance.
okay.
that's all I have on that.
Thank you, Steve.
Anything else then?
That's
Okay.
all.
Very good. Thank you, Stacy, appreciate it. Moving forth, Administrator's Report, good evening, Gus.
Evening, board. Back here,
That's gonna take some getting used to. I've never had a touchscreen computer before.
Guessing it was up down both ways?
I'm sorry?
So I'm guessing it was up down both ways?
Yes, yeah, sure enough, in the snow, in July. That's really nice too. See that with old man.
Okay, on the Tarma, we filled out the casualty and property casualty insurance forms, and it's been sent in. Asked for that proposal to be back by July 15th. We made all adjustments in the equipment and so forth that which transpired, either picked up or deleted since this time last year. Recycle Rally, I have it on there because I got a hold of Rumpke, and there was a discrepancy in that bill, that invoice, and so they sent it back, and there was at least a double charge on it that they couldn't explain all of it. They said they're gonna recalculate it, redo it, and not to do anything until they send us a new invoice. Whereas as of to date, it's been probably a week and a half, 2 weeks, still haven't got the new invoice. So don't know exactly what that will be. So the final for that recycle rally is still pending. Next week on the 18th, which I believe is Wednesday, Chief and I have the final section of 3 of our Ward County Hazard Mitigation Program. So we'll go in the morning to that. Got a thank you from the people at the Maintain Old Main Street Committee for participating in their tree letter, or their tree project. So they were very grateful for that. Under events, Coleman Tractor Show, well attended. The $500 contribution that you gave, I was contacted a couple times while I was down there and was thanked. So I'll let you guys know that we really appreciated everybody's contribution to help put on that event. With that being said, for the upcoming Independence Day, and I guess these next two, I guess I'm going to ask the board for a motion to, these are the dollar amounts that I came up for, which puts us right at the $3,000 that the board approved last year. But I don't think I spent on $3,000. So with the $500 for the tractor show that you've already approved, requesting a donation of $1,000 towards the band at the Bicentennial Park. And that's if approved to be made payable to Waynesville Area Friends of the Park. Reason for that is that the band to play now is going up to $1,700. It's been broken down into the cost of the band and the cost of sound and lighting. This band that they've chosen now or have this year, they're going to do it all, but their price is higher. We've always been on the low end for that, but we'll see how it goes. So then that takes our contribution for the fireworks display, and I don't know if this goes up or down, but to $1,000. Remember
Well,
that.
yeah, you guys had already appropriated $1,000 for the chamber when we did final appropriations, and then,
Yeah, we signed a check for it tonight, didn't we?
yeah, well, that was for the fireworks.
Okay.
Gus asked for 1,000, but you guys had appropriated 1,500, so we just went ahead and kept the check for 1,000 since that was what he'd asked for. But all that's already been appropriated, so it's up to you
And
guys.
then the Heisley Park Fall Festival, typically for, I don't know, last 12, however long that's been going on, we gave $300. This year I'd like to up that to $500. They've not asked for it yet, but all that money goes to putting on all kinds of crafts and stuff for children that
It's good for
participate.
kids. I've
And
been
it-
down to a few
Yeah,
times.
and it gets widely attended by our people here, so I think it's well worth it. So the reason I'm asking for a motion on this is so we have a record of it, I guess, in the minutes, because the auditor's office, I guess, has been pretty sticky about tracing back where money was approved and so forth, make sure, been not only budgeted, appropriated, but also either by legislation or by motion approved by the board. So I'll stop there if you got any questions or comments.
So what did we do last year with the Independence Day?
I think I spent $1,500 for fireworks and $1,000 to the band. But last year also the board gave me a budget of $3,000 to work with for basically all of our events throughout the year that we typically make a donation to. So this puts us right at that $3,000, same as last year.
And there's no other events that we give to?
The only other thing we do is Christmas, he does the candles, and he said that he's got enough candles
Yeah.
for this year, so that's why we decided to donate to the moms committee.
So this at least gets us up to the threshold we were at last year.
Yeah, I mean, this is it, we're good with it.
I'm good with it.
I don't see any other donations coming down the pipeline. I think we're about maxed out.
Don't ask for anything.
Yeah, we're about maxed
Yeah.
out.
Right. Yeah, we are.
Well, we had appropriated, 1,500 for the fireworks, but he reduced it to 1,000, so we gave 500 to moms, so it all equals out. So it's all bigger down
Yeah.
here.
So we're,
I haven't heard how the fireworks has come along with their contribution. I do know that they're I think last year they spent maybe 9,000, and I think this year, the cost for the same show's gone up to 12,000, so that's something I've heard, so hopefully they've got enough or collected enough.
So make a motion to go with those 3 events and approve them.
I'll second that.
Sorry.
Please, second.
Brett, turn.
All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Colvin?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
All right, this motion's carried.
Electric aggregation, I confirmed with Joe Garrett at Trouble, that our replacement contract for electric supply is with ING, and it is at 0.0914 per kilowatt hour for 12 months. As you all know, the notifications have been sent out, and I cannot believe how many people have called and inquired about it.
Oh, I've
Oh, I
got a
bet.
number,
I mean, it just has
number
been
of
nonstop.
text
I mean,
messages.
every morning, it's email, phone call. You know, and most of them, much explain it. I've only had 1 or 2 that are, you know, I've got one person that just wants to know why we just don't get out of the contract and quit it if we can't save any more money than that. It's like, you know, because he sat there in his calculator and said, you know, you're not gonna save me $60 a year or something. And I said, well, that's $60.
You did mention it for you, yeah.
Yeah, I said, and the answer I've been given that kind of helps people out. We're so far out when this was put on the ballot, it's been almost 10 years.
Mhm.
You just have to remind them that, Joe, the voters asked for us to do this, that we're obligated to do this until voters tell us not to.
And how many of those are newer residents since then?
Yeah.
Just are not aware of that.
So, and some of them are ones that call every time and changes. And then I think the other thing has been, right now, on AES's bill, I'm not sure about Duke, and maybe Brad can speak for Duke, but the cost to compare rate is, you know, it's a lot lower. It's down to 7, you know, but I tell them, I said, June 1st, it's going up to 9.45. So I said, your next bill will probably show it at 9.45.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm correct in saying that, but I'm not. Every time I tell them this, anything, I tell myself, I'm not 100% sure, but this is what I'm being told.
Well, basically what it boils down to, there's a base load that AES has, right? That our company goes out and gets a base load of it, and then all the other providers can come in underneath that if they want to, right? And there are probably 38 to 40 different providers that are out there that you can go on the PUCO website, apples to apples. And I saw that they talked about that on the social media on Facebook, right? And you can do that. All we're doing is just provide another avenue for our residents to find energy at a lower cost.
Right.
And they can opt out free of charge per Trebell, which was good. That's one of the things we asked for, is that there was no charge if our customers residents want to go to somebody else if they want to. That was probably one of the biggest keys. If you look online at PUC's website, you can see some of them have contracts, some of them are 3-month contracts, some of them are like 6-month. They vary just like a cell phone contract, so you have to be careful about what you look for.
It might
But
cost
you
you
have to
more.
stay on top of it, right?
Yeah.
This is a 12-month guaranteed 0.0914 rate compared to the base load rate of 0.0945. So yes, it's not gonna save you a whole bunch versus the base load rate.
Yeah, I don't know what Duke's doing, I don't think they told us, or,
Their auction is different than ours, so they'll be going through one too.
yeah.
So, and it just seems like everybody's starting to equal out of
It's
balance.
like gas.
Yeah,
Like
basically,
voting gas, yeah.
yeah. But there are other avenues to save more money online.
You know, and I don't, you know, I went to Energy Harbor's website, and I noticed, I haven't got a chance to talk with Joe about this, but they actually, I read in there where they will no longer bid aggregate rates.
Oh. Okay.
So, I think it may be the industry may be starting to take a rebellion against all the aggregation, you know, things out there.
Yeah.
Because AES and Duke, you know, they have different standards they gotta follow to get their rates, whereas the aggregators don't, you know, they can go to the market and pick it up pretty much when they want.
Correct, yeah. energy still flows in and out of the state and everything like that, so I don't wanna get too technical with it all, but yeah, but there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
So,
And since we deregulated from the generation market, that's where they're getting all their rates at from.
Well, thanks for
But I-
taking care of the residents' calls.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Couple other things I want to add here, is one, I don't mind doing it, I like talking to people, but it has been just 2 weeks of, it seems like nonstop. Today, for example, was a very busy day in the office. States opened the doors this morning and we had a flood of people in here, probably, I don't know,
A
5 or 6.
2-hour meeting with somebody with Washington Township here, with a joint, just trying to figure out how to help somebody divide a whole parcel into 3 to 4 lots, between the 2 counties and townships and site plans and where else.
And I've got one other item I want to bring up, and that's just a big kudos and a thank you to Ms. Lowen for her good deed of the year. She will get a silver star for Christmas. We did have yesterday a lady that parked in our parking lot and came in, and she was completely lost, had no idea how to get where she needed to go, with an elderly lady by herself with her cat. And
Extremely lost. I just knew that I couldn't get her to Wilmington Pike by talking. So
Yeah.
I went on a road trip.
so
Did you really?
A lead vehicle.
That's great.
Convoy commander.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah, there's no
Good
way you
job.
can tell somebody how to get to Wilmington Pike from here. It's
No, I was
impossible.
like, oh, there's no, I said, do you have a phone? And she's, yeah, but I don't use it. I said, okay. So we just,
Yeah.
told us I need to go on a road trip.
Oh, that's funny. Good
Yeah,
job.
sometimes you have to, that's good.
Yeah.
You could just take her to the township line and sit you're on your
Oh.
the poor, I guess we were the last resort because the poor lady had stopped at gas stations and tried to have her give directions, and she,
Yeah, she was saying where she had been. It
I
was
don't-
a
I can't-
vet, I thought
I
like it was a vet in Waynesville, but I don't know, she said that that was next to something I've never heard of, so I don't know.
What was she driving? What was she driving?
Like a really old blue, not a truck, but kind of some kind of an SUV.
Did they have an Amber Alert on
Oh,
her?
no, is there a silver alert? You would know that.
But she was going all the way over to the Belmont neighborhood of.
Oh, yeah, Belmont, yeah. This- You know, we were just talking about that the other day, we were going down to Florida, driving around down there for vacation. We talked about how, we used to use road maps,
Yeah.
and you see the mile marker and see everything there. Kids nowadays,
No
and
idea.
the technology out there is that they're not really oriented in directions north and south. So it's kind of interesting. So, yeah.
that's a whole actor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys, thank
Thank
you
you,
guys
Gus.
too for answering the call. I know one of the residents called about the message on my machine, and I got the email forwarded to you guys while I was on vacation. Thank you guys for doing that too.
You're welcome,
So I appreciate that.
that's what we're here for. Good deal.
Excellent.
Thank you, Gus. Appreciate it. Moving forward to the physical officer report. Good evening, Scott.
Good evening. So, SEU, and we're going with that. I added and I sent you guys an email on that, a general files folder. That's where a bunch of other files are. They used to have it miscellaneous. I changed it to general files because I just like the name better. But they created a workflow, so when you look on your left side, you should be able to see like a general, when you do workflow, you should see a general files. And there's one in there now, which is the bank record for April, so it's sitting there whenever you get time to review it. And forward it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted, that was added on for that. OPERS, we got our penalty letters and so forth, so it's gonna be about like $300 and some odd dollars for all the FLSA stuff. What we're gonna owe them for that. So that's just about done. IRS, they were doing an audit, and I just got letters today that will, I guess they were giving us a check for overpayment in 2022. I forget which quarter it is, but then the other quarter, we're supposedly, we underpaid by a couple of $1,000, but then penalty and interest since 2022, it's up to $4,500 is what we'll end up owing on that. I'm gonna, but she didn't get back with me, the auditor. These just popped up in the mail, so I'm gonna give her a call tomorrow and talk through it and see if they can't waive, and I know they can, they have, for other communities, waive the penalty and, interest and all of that. So I'm gonna be working on that to get that cleared up, because obviously the auditor's office won't be happy about that. Audit, so audit's going along, it seems to be going well. She's pulling, I probably only had one real conversation with her since she's been doing it. Most of everything else she's getting through our UAN system, then going into an SCU to pull the supporting documents she needs. So I don't know how far along she is, I just know that she's been plugging away at it. So we're good there, and so we'll see where that all goes, how much. I think that she's probably moving right along. One of the other things I wanted to talk about, well, before I get to that, so July 1st, I'll be publishing, so we can do our tax budget on July 1st. We'll hold a meeting within a meeting and do the tax budget meeting and pass it. So we have to have it passed by July 15th. And my brothers was trying to get it done the 1st because the 15th is fair week, so I prefer to try to get that done on the 1st. But I'll be publishing that, to get that notice out as required by law. And then, this will be our first round of paying part-timers a time and a half for the holiday. And so some of the work I did do this week with the auditor's office had a lot to do with payroll. And just to make sure that everything's abundantly clear, our resolution wasn't overly clear about that. It just says that there would be a 3% increase, and all township observed holidays will be paid at time and a half rate. Well, I had in my head, because in my world, we would do it by actual hours worked, and I got the payroll submitted to me by the fire department, and Tanner's operating in his world, how they typically do it. So, which is paid by the shift. So the crew came on at 7 in the morning and then got off the next following day at 7 in the morning. And they're getting paid for that full 24 hours. In my role, I would have said, well, the people that came in the night before, at midnight, they would have started making holiday pay, because the resolution says if you work that day, you're gonna get that, till 7 in the morning, and the next crew comes in, they would work 7 to midnight, and then at midnight, they would shut off, and then they go back to regular pay. But that's not how it operates in the fire world. So I'm gonna turn that over to him, to let him discuss that with you guys, but the only thing I'm trying to get accomplished tonight is, we need to, I think,
Make an amendment to that?
make an amendment, make it very clear, so when we do get audited, and they look, because they've looked at, so far, they've looked at like our bonuses and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
luckily, everything's very spelled out, and I just want to make sure that this is very clear, because we keep getting caught on some of this stuff. So I'll let him, because he's the expert on it, I just need clarification, that's all I'm looking for.
That should be by the shift.
Pardon me?
Should be by the shift.
Okay.
So, because it starts getting real complicated if you're paying people start at midnight, and, they're making 6 ads. And generally across the fire service, it's understood that shift. So,
is it just one shift, 7 to 7, or are you talking about, is it 2 shifts, or is it just 1 shift?
all right, okay.
This is where it gets tricky.
This is where it gets tricky with us. So, one shift for us is 24 hours.
Uh-huh.
And whether we break it up into 2 12 hours or 1 24-hour shift. So we have two 24-hour shifts per day. So that 24 hours is paid at that overtime rate. So if Scott and I come in and I'm working at 24, Scott's working 12 hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., he gets the overtime, he gets the holiday pay from 7 AM to 7 PM. If Sam comes in and works 7 PM to 7 AM, he also gets 12 hours, because it's the bulk of the holiday. It's by shift.
But what time did you start?
I started at 7, yeah, our shift started at 7.
Okay, so you did 7 AM the day of the holiday, and you went all the way to
Yeah.
the next day.
Yeah,
That's okay through the state of Ohio and the whole labor laws and everything, or?
that's how every fire department I've worked for has ever done it, so.
So if somebody comes in and works 7 PM the day before to 7 AM, they don't get the holiday pay.
They don't get 7 hours.
They don't.
They shouldn't get any, yeah, they don't get any, because they started their shift.
Right.
It's when you start your shift.
Correct. It's by the shift, not necessarily by the hours.
Yeah. The other guys will be coming off at the start of the holiday day, and the other guys are coming, gonna working the entire holiday day.
Correct.
Right.
Because if he does 7 PM to 7 AM the day before,
Yeah.
and he's done at 7, the other guy comes in at 7, he gets holiday pay all the way to, and if he works at 24, then, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with Scott, my mind would obviously go toward what
Yeah,
he's
I
thinking.
that's what
I'm not, I'm with it, thinking the way you're thinking.
That's the way, I would agree with you, that's the way I think here too, because we run all the time. It's, we're calling in, doing all the things, so we run like that way.
Right.
If you get called in for that day, or you work that day, that's when you get
I just
that
want to
block
make
of
sure
time.
we do it the
Okay.
right way. so we don't
That's the
have
main thing I
another
wanna do.
Yeah, so we know, I mean, okay, so we know we're gonna have to pay 24 hours of overtime anyway,
time,
right?
right.
Right, there's no, because that's what we have to
Right.
cover 9 AM days, so.
Maybe this is a question to the prosecuting attorney.
What do you have to
Well,
pay?
which is
What
fine
you
with
pay
that,
already?
yeah, I got
That's
payroll
another question.
process, yeah. So I need some guidance, so maybe.
What do you need to know by?
well,
Because we're gonna run into it here on
Wednesday
June
morning.
19th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
No, we've already run into it.
No, we did it on Memorial Day.
Right,
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with right now, is
Right.
Memorial Day, where we're gonna run into it here
again,
next week.
But basically what you're saying is if your shift starts on the holiday, you get holiday pay for that entire shift, whether it be either 24 or 12. But you have to start on the holiday.
You
have to
define-
pay for our cycle.
If I may.
Go ahead.
You define the holiday. There's no federal mandate to pay holiday pay. It's a luxury thing, it's not a mandate. So you define your holiday. If you say, this is a federal holiday, or this is a holiday we're gonna pay, because it could be a floating holiday, really. You could just say, January 25th every year is a holiday in our book. So you define your holiday. So if you say, you get that 24 hours, you say it starts at 7 AM on the holiday, then that's your holiday pay. Because it's not federal, the FLSA doesn't mandate that you pay holiday pay.
So do all your members know this? The ones that worked the Sunday night shift to 7 AM Monday morning, are those people expecting a time and a half check for 12 to 7?
I don't imagine they are, because
You
most,
what?
I do not imagine they are, because most of them understand that it's that holiday that they're working the full.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
So devil's advocate, one more loophole, just to throw it in there. If anybody, so after midnight that night, anytime to that point. So if a guy comes in at 3 o'clock to fill in for somebody, that's time and a half, right?
At
Because
like
it is a
3
holiday.
AM,
Yeah, 3 AM,
technically, yeah,
however how long that person works.
till 7 AM.
Yeah, till 7, say this fills it, okay. Okay, that's what I'm just checking on. So officially, it starts at midnight.
Do they ever roll around 7, like somebody works 10 PM till 8 AM or 9 AM?
Not real often, like for Memorial Day, we have 2 guys that come from Lebanon, so the crew that works Sunday hung over for half an hour. So both of them will get a half an hour, time and a half, so, until the new crew, or the crew that's working for that 24 comes in.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so
Okay.
so you're saying the definition would be 7 AM to 7 AM on the, 7 AM the day of the holiday till 7 AM the next day,
Correct.
unless that day's a holiday too, and then it goes, whatever. But I don't think that
But it all
would-
depends how you
But
post
to
it.
go back to his scenario though, you said that if someone comes in at 3, works 3 to 7 for coverage, which would not happen, but you said that they would be eligible for holiday pay.
Right.
Because their start
3 a.m., you're
time
talking
is during
3
the
a.m.
holiday. If your start time is from
12:01
12:01 to, if you start work at any time frame from starting at 12:01 to 11:59,
Okay.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
No, I don't think it's
Yeah,
necessary.
you're gonna get yourself
No.
behind.
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, I'm
You're
just,
defining.
Because you're covering the shift prior, regardless of what time you're coming on, you're covering the shift prior to the day of the holiday.
Of the holiday.
So when he comes on at 12, 3, whatever, he's still covering that normal
Okay.
7 to 7.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
just breaking up
understand.
between different people.
I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you meant like, so Memorial Day is on a Monday.
Correct.
If someone comes in at 3 a.m. on Tuesday morning, they would, yes, they would get that holiday, not the Monday.
Right.
Not that, yeah. I misunderstood
Yeah,
what you
so
were
that's
saying.
what I say, your holiday
Yeah.
is 7 AM, the day of the holiday, till
Yes.
7 AM
The
the
following
next
day.
day.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
we're defining it that
It's
way.
a 24-hour
Okay.
period.
Correct. And you were talking about someone coming in on
Where
Monday
we would
morning
finish the
at
shift
3
for
a.m.
that, yeah, finish the shift for the thing, that's what I'm just trying to say, is that,
And they would get it.
yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
So there needs to be added language to our,
Yes, there needs to be.
to state that the holiday, township holiday will start at 7 a.m. on the day of the holiday, day of the calendar holiday to 7 a.m.
For 24 hours cycle.
or just say 24 hours. That does not include road department and obviously.
Yeah, we only get 8 hours.
I think that should be a me too.
Scott's like, we got cleanups ahead.
Yeah.
It's July 9, man.
Christmas, you know, hey, you kind of go out, you know, Christmas Eve and plow snow, you don't want that.
You never
Now,
know.
that's 48 hours.
Yeah.
220.
So this is geared just for the fire department.
Right. I guess Gus and I, or Gus can write up the updated resolution, but for tonight, since I've got this payroll in process, could I get a motion to pay firefighter Becker and Valenti at the holiday pay, as we understand it from 7 to 8, you know,
Yeah, so I make a motion to pay firefighters Becker and Valenti the time and a half holiday pay starting on Memorial Day, 7 a.m. to the day for 24 hours coverage.
I will second that.
Is that,
This
are we
is
good?
Kaufman
Is that the two that cover?
and, yeah, well, I don't know who those are.
Allison and Bramley. Allison Brown and TC.
So we have Allison Brown and TC Bramley also going to be added to that.
Yeah.
For their half hour. It'll look fancier in the motion. Kaufman and,
Cool.
alrighty, so we'll have to do a roll call vote. Ms. Colvin?
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs?
Yes.
All right, this motion passed.
Thanks for the explanation.
Huh?
Thanks for the explanation.
Clear as mud.
Yes,
It's,
always is with the fire department.
I know.
we talked about that. Holiday pay was a big one.
What was that resolution number that we just amended?
We-
That would be 2025-21.
Okay.
I think that is it for me. That's what I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott, appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Moving forth, whole business, any news regarding properties?
Yes, I've got a handout. I've met with, of course, a real estate person,
Okay.
and he got me back 21 different forms to look over.
Okay.
That just came through, I finally got them through yesterday morning. We tried to send them last week, but I guess they were too large of a file, so, yeah, so, but anyhow, I have them all. There's a summary, I will send it out to the board, I guess, tomorrow morning, and then you can look over the summary of our meeting, and I will try to send you all the documents.
Yeah, I'd never be able to download it.
Yeah. And I'm not a realtor, so I don't know what all, you know, and it's a whole package of documents that we may or may not use. What it really boils down to is a couple key items, and I'll put that in the email, that he needs guidance from the board, verification from the board, how we want to proceed with this. And he brought up some interesting points, so I think after you read the summary or whatever, then we may on a work session, we'll call it a work session for next Tuesday on the Safer Grant.
Safer grant, then we have
Okay, so
a,
while we're in that work session or whatever, well, we may go into executive session after work session to review the information that I sent out to you. Yeah, this is going to be a little more difficult than.
is that just regarding one property or any other news regarding any other properties?
Just this one that we were looking
Okay, any other old business? Sam, you got any old business?
Well, the cadet handbook for you guys next meeting.
Very good.
Sweet,
Cool.
good job.
Moving forward to new business, questions or concerns of the bills? I have a motion to approve payment of bills that were presented for payment.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills that was presented for payment.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay. Roll call vote, Ms. Colvin,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs,
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman,
Yes.
motion's carried.
Next, we have legislation. First is Resolution 2025-43, accepting the resignation of Sarah Anescu from the Wayne Township Fire Department. Thank you, Sarah, for your time of service. We greatly appreciate it. Good luck with your endeavors in medical school. Do I have a motion to accept Resolution 2025-43?
Go ahead, Diane.
I'll make a motion to
There you
accept
go.
resolution 2025-43 for Sarah.
Second? I will.
All right. Roll call vote, Ms. Colvin,
Yes.
Mr. Kaufman,
Yes.
and Mr. Jacobs.
Yes.
Next is Resolution 2025-44, approving the retirement of Rob Plummer from the Wayne Township Fire Department. Thank you, Rob, for your 26 years of service. Greatly appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
So do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-44? I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I was letting you guys do it, I figured it's.
I'll second.
Okay, Diana seconded. So,
All right. Roll call vote, Mr. Kaufman,
yes.
Mr. Jacobs,
Yes.
Ms. Colvin.
Yes.
All right, this resolution's passed this 10th day of June.
Next is Resolution 2025-45, approving the pay increase of Hannah Wolfenbarger to that of a certified firefighter EMT on the Wayne Township Fire Department.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-45.
I will second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Kaufman,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobs.
Yes.
Ms. Colvin.
Yes.
This resolution's adopted this 10th day of June.
Is there any other new business? Hearing none. Correspondence? Moving forth.
Nothing good.
I put in your packet, I believe, the correspondence I had.
Thank you.
Okay, one was the subdivision. We already talked about it. Correspondence was. Oh, the grants. One kind of grants commission on the community development block grant. I don't know if you understood this or not, but basically, each entity has the opportunity, if they want to respond, to become their own, like City of Lebanon typically is their own community development block grant community, or you can have it administered through the county. So this is just kind of a courtesy letter or whatever. CDBG program, we may not have to worry about for a while. So my suggestion is that we just do not respond and we'll participate through Warren County. If we participate through Warren County, then you're relying on the county commissioners to determine the application process and the awarding of the grant. Verizon, we did have, this is something maybe should mention under new business. We had to take out a new contract or account, let me rephrase that, account for Verizon in order to Chief Beckett's new iPad. Has its own phone, and so we were able to go through this NASPO, which is a government purchasing program, and get a cheaper rate. We got it for like half price. So we'll save some money that way. Thank you, Chief, for looking into that. Now we were looking at trying to transport or to port over all of our old Verizon accounts over to this one account. What we ran into there is the fact that we would save about $2. We'd only save about $2 per account, and we don't have that many accounts. And the negative to that is we would no longer be eligible for the annual update of phones. So it's going to cause us to have two different accounts for the time being.
Okay.
So, I know that doesn't make our fiscal officer happy, but
Well, as long as I got access to the account to make the payment, because that's typically how we do it, is we pay through the portal
Okay.
of Verizon. So I'll need access to be able to pay.
and we did
And
have.
a copy of the contract.
Put the cover letter in here. We got the annual report for Warren County Park District as a stakeholder. Again, it's our first ever annual report. I have that in the office. It's about, I believe, maybe 8 pages. It was more than I wanted to scan, and it's in a booklet form. But if you'd like me to scan it and send it to you, I can. Chop it up, get it out to you. Or I may look online, it's probably available at their website.
Has anybody heard anything about the H2 Ohio? They were originally going to be going and trying to take out this low dam down here in Corwin.
Mhm.
Anybody heard anything more about that?
I periodically get updates or get the information from H2 Ohio and from, and I had one last year, and there was talk about it, but it was squelched pretty quickly, and it kind of disappeared.
Good,
So,
okay. 'Cause I don't think the community wants it removed.
And that's pretty
Yeah.
much what comes up is this, and what I take from it, it's usually brought back up by somebody that's new into an organization that starts, pushing it, wanting to remove, all dams from,
Yeah.
and have all streams free flow. And so it rears its head, like I say, about once every 5 years.
Okay. Let me know if you hear anything.
Okay. And I think that's it. And everything in the grassroots. I don't know if you guys are following, Mr. Cameron came in and he's getting these updates now, and so he's been, watching some of the stuff, and, that 1308, I don't know if you've watched the video of it, that seems to be a very informative,
The OTA, they've been sending out the 1308 web, or podcast or webcast, plus the legislative updates through the OTA, which has been, I've been getting them through Farm Bureau as well, from the Farm Bureau side, so I was telling Gus this morning or today that I think the two executives from the two entities kind of had lunch or something and said, well, why don't we do this? So and then all of a sudden they start sending out. But it's very, very informative. I've been getting emails and very, just snapshots, giving you, them links if you want to delve into it a little deeper. Of course, the big thing on the radar right now is the property tax referendum or whatnot, and nobody seems to have a good answer to how the things that the property tax pays for are going to get paid for without the property tax.
Right.
So, if, I guess the judge signed off for the organization, whomever, to be able to gather signatures for the petition. So I guess, not to Shanghai your speech there, Gus, but if you're approached, ask them questions.
Yeah.
Who's gonna plow your snow?
I think we go back to gravel roads and your neighbors have to learn CPR and everybody just has to fend for themselves.
Well, that's everybody that's employed by the township in this room will be unemployed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on the surface, it sounds like woo-hoo, but
There's a reality to it.
there is a reality to it, and, they're just looking at the surface of, saving whatever they pay a year in property tax, and they're not thinking about what they're actually getting for that. Yes, it's expensive, I agree. It's a lot of money. However, you still get services for that money.
I called OTA and talked to Heidi about this, and especially that House Bill 335, I believe it was the number that had just come out. And she said, and her interpretation from what they've already started hearing was that this was the legislature's response to the ballot initiative. So I'm assuming they're gonna be pushing hard on this, but it'll be interesting to see how it all turns out, because I'm sure villages and cities are gonna want that inside millage, but we'll see, and schools. But that was what she was telling me, and they were also trying to figure out, because it locked in the townships at 2024, and she says, well, we don't know, forget how it reads, but she says we don't understand whether they meant by the 2024 inside millage rate or amount. And she said, clearly we'll be against it if it's the amount, but we're okay with it if it's the rate, because this is better than the other, is what she told me. So it sounds like they will be supporting that bill, depending on some of that, little bit of language, but ultimately, this is still early in the process. But that's what I picked up from.
That on the outside millage.
Well, that was just for inside millage, yeah. That takes out that and does something with the schools. So there's a handful of things that 335 does.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, moral of the story with the, with property tax, it's homeschooling, gravel roads, and hanging out at the house in the wintertime if it snows deep.
Last thing I have, I guess, then is not this OTA golf outing. But if you noticed on the other side of the page, even though there's only a 10% turnout statewide or whatever for the May election, look at all if you haven't had a chance to review it, look at all the levies that were on that and the percentage that passed. I thought it was eye-opening how many passed and what passed. But then you go back and say that was only 10 to 15% voter turnout. It doesn't probably surprise us as much as if it was in a general election. But,
Right.
Again, I don't know if people are don't know what it means, but it was just interesting to see it being positive.
Well, with this current spending bill that's going through, it does away with replacement levies.
Yeah.
So all those are replacements that passed, that won't be a thing of next year. So it will have to be new or renewed, but no longer replacement. If it passes, which I'm assuming it will.
I think that's all I have.
One thing, if I could talk on some legislation, one thing I'm kind of keeping an eye other than the property taxes, Senate Bill 195, which is the Volunteer Firefighter Act, that's got some like property tax reductions for volunteer firefighters, tuition incentives. It does update our training standards, and then you get some tax credits for us. So I'm kind of seeing where that goes. That's going to be a big topic at the Ohio Fire Chiefs, that, and I'm sure the property tax will be a big, I imagine there'll be a couple a couple pop-up workshops on that, so. So the Ohio Fire Chiefs does send out, there's a section on there that you can follow current legislation, so.
So maybe if we get approached by somebody, we ask them if they want to be a volunteer firefighter, right?
There you
We
go.
get a property tax, right?
Or how well they can work a snow shovel.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay, so we're good on the correspondence. Do we have any elected officials' comments? All right, none?
No.
Okay. No work session needed, no executive session needed. Make a motion for adjournment at 8:06. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
And nays, like sign, motion's carried.
Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.